I'm now going to continue my video series on memory with a story that I found on page 66 of the December 2000 edition of the Reader's Digest. And there are several details we need to memorize. Okay? And the first one is the name of John Cook. How are we going to remember him? Well, we're going to imagine a guy by the name of John. He's in a chef's outfit. He's wearing an FBI badge. That's how we're going to remember him. And he is in a prison cell. Okay? But he's cooking inside this prison cell. And he's cooking jacks. Okay, you know how you played with jacks as a little kid, and for some of you older people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, big handful of jacks, and you play with jacks. Okay, now we're going to be cooking them. We're not going to just be playing with them, we're going to actually be cooking them. Okay, and we're going to be doing this in Georgia. Okay, we're in the southeast. We're in Georgia. Okay, so we imagine this southern plantation, and inside of it is a prison cell. John Cook is in there. He is cooking jacks, and that's how we're going to remember Jackson. Okay, now this particular county, or they have it as parishes down there, not really. Well, I guess it is a county, okay. Some of those southeast areas are parishes, not really counties, but this one is a particular county. It's Monroe County, as in James Monroe, the president. You can look up President James Monroe. As a matter of fact, you can imagine that President James Monroe is standing in that prison cell with John Cook as he's cooking these jacks. Okay? Now, we have to imagine the name of Michelle Cartagena. Okay? Now, we have this young lady, her name is Michelle, and she's pushing along a shopping cart. And the shopping cart is full of blue jeans. Okay? So it's Michelle. She's pushing along a shopping cart just outside the prison cell, and it's full of blue jeans. Okay? Now, we're also going to imagine that Ulysses S. Grant is down there. Since we got James Monroe right over there, we might as well have President Ulysses S. Grant. Okay? And he's carrying a hen in his hands. Okay? And we can just imagine that Ulysses S. Grant is Rick's son. Okay? Okay, so we have this guy named Rick. He's giving birth. Well, his wife has given birth to Ulysses S. Grant, and so now Ulysses S. Grant is Rick's son. And you can imagine that this Grant is holding a hen in his hands. Okay? Now, how are we going to imagine Lake Juliet? Okay, when you look out the prison window, you're going to see Juliet of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, you're going to see Romeo and Juliet right out there. You're going to see this lake, and Juliet is standing in the middle of the lake. Okay, so that's how you're going to imagine Lake Juliet. Okay, now, what about Randy Upton? Okay, Randy Upton. Now, how are we going to remember his particular name? Okay, there is like a ton of bricks. They're being lifted up and up, higher and higher and higher. There's like a pulley system, and there's a platform with these bricks, and they're being lifted up. And the guy that's lifting them up, his name is Randy. So, now we can see that we have Lake Juliet. Juliet is standing in the middle of this lake. That's why it's called Lake Juliet. And nearby, there's this guy named Randy, and he's got this pulley system, and he's pulling up a ton of bricks. Okay, now we got that one. Now, what about Andy Cook? Okay, Andy Cook is John Cook's son. He's also in the jail cell. Okay? Now, Andy Cook, we're going to imagine 4 sparklers, okay? We're going to imagine that John Cook gave birth to, well, not he, but his wife gave birth to 4 sparklers. And Andy Cook is the shortest sparkler. That's why that, he's the youngest son, so therefore he's the shortest sparkler, all right? Now, why are we imagining sparklers? Because Andy Cook was born on Independence Day. That's why we have all the presidents there. We have James Monroe there. We have Ulysses S. Grant there. All right? Now then, So, those are the major details of this particular story. Alright? And if you want to take it one step further, you can imagine a very sophisticated musket being inside this prison cell. It maybe is sitting right next to Andy. Alright? There you go. And that's all you have to do in picturing all this. You've remembered several major details of that particular story by just imagining all of this. Now you say, well, what about the Honda Civic that's in there? Well, just imagine a Honda car and a civics book inside the car. And that gives you the picture of the car and what kind of car it was. There you go. So, now you've pictured all of this, now you can tell the story. See what I mean? Alright. I will tell you more in a future video, so I would like for you to stay tuned.